Hey guys, so it probably looks pretty different. I know in the background and the quality is not as good. There's a reason for this right now. I'm going to show you our budget and kind of not really our budget, but how much we spent on a 2-day trip to Miami and Fort Lauderdale. I like watching these videos just because I feel like maybe it can give me kind of an idea of what to budget and how to budget for travel. So I hope this video helps somebody out there. So I'm going to share my screen with you and you guys can see. So here is what my budgeting and kind of looks like. I actually have another little section for budgeting, but I decided to just take that out because I didn't really budget too much for this trip, and it was kind of just like a last minute trip. And so we spent $361.20, and I did get a hotel off of Priceline, and it was an okay hotel. Looking back at it, I mean, I feel like maybe it was fine, but I kind of feel like I would have rather had an Airbnb. Every time I go on Priceline, I always think I wish I had an Airbnb, so I might just stop doing Priceline in the future. But the price for a hotel and a Airbnb were about the same in the Fort Lauderdale area. And I do choose kind of like, I've had very bad experiences with hotels. So I did choose a nicer hotel, but it was still pretty affordable. And keep in mind, we also did travel on a holiday. So it was New Year's Day. So that will bring the price up. So we spent $361. Next, transportation for our flights for 2 people and round trip flight, we spent $638.40. And we flew out of a small town. And so the price was a little bit more expensive than we might normally, but it wasn't that much more expensive out of a small town. So we chose that. And then we also did get a rental car for $236. If you are going to travel to Fort Lauderdale or Miami, like, you kind of have to have a car. Everything is pretty far apart. I mean, unless you're going to stay around the same area the whole time, it really makes sense to have a car if you want to travel around and see as much as possible. So in total, we spent $874. Then, the fun stuff, food. Obviously, we like our food, and we actually tried to, I mean, on food, I would say that when we travel, our food expense is usually probably a little bit high-ish because that's kind of our experience of visiting a place is the food. And so we do try to be mindful of how much we're spending. So a lot of times we would share, like for Joe's Crab, we shared a meal. So this was literally one meal and this is how much it costs. It's very expensive there. But like at other places, we were mindful of what we were spending. We didn't get like the cheapest item necessarily, but we didn't get the most expensive item at the restaurants we went. So this is all of our food and all the places we went. And this is literally for 2.5 days. I'm telling you, we like food. And so we spent $358.24. We also did, I don't know if it shows you, Walgreens breakfast. We did pick up like breakfast items at Walgreens that we could just bring back to our hotel to make food cheaper. So yeah, it was 2.5 days, but keep in mind, it was basically like 3 days because we still had we left on, I believe it was Friday morning, and then we got there, we left on Thursday, and so we had all of Thursday, then we have all of Friday, all of Saturday, and then also, it's actually 4 days, just kidding. This is 4 days of food, but we only stayed, because if you include the travel, it was about 4 days. I hope this makes sense. I'm not sure. Tell me in the comments if I don't make sense. It's fine. And then entertainment, we did go to a couple museums, and it was about $20 a piece for the Vizcaya and Bonnet House. But if you go to Miami or Fort Lauderdale, like, you have to do those things. And also we went to the Everglades, and just a tip, if you are going to the Everglades, get a ticket online in advance because it's a lot cheaper. Sometimes they have discounts. At least the place we went to, I believe it was the Sawgrass Recreation Park. They had a discount online. And don't get it from like a TripAdvisor site or like a third party, because the price will go up rather than getting it to the place directly. Okay, so in total we spent $133 for like 2.5 days in Fort Lauderdale, Miami. And then gas, because we did have a rental car. Maybe I should have put this in transportation, but whatever. We spent $20 for gas, just having a rental car and driving around, which we only had to fill up really one time during our time. We literally traveled like a lot all over Miami and Fort Lauderdale. And for the weekend, we only filled up once, and gas was, well, actually it was more expensive than Oklahoma, but our cars was pretty economical. We got like the cheapest car, and we went to, I think it was called Economy Car Rental, and they were fine. Nothing special about the car rental. Okay, then this is the other. So parking, as you can see, you really have to spend money on parking, especially if you're driving a car, but like there's not parking in Miami and Fort Lauderdale, especially Miami Beach, was terrible. And so we spent a lot on parking. Parking was about $10, I would say, for like maybe 3 hours or 2 hours of parking. They do have like street parking, so these would be probably more like street parking, but you still have to pay at the meter. And then one of the parking places charged me twice, and I never contacted my bank about it or them about it. So I got ripped off kind of on that. I think we accidentally put our card in twice. Okay, and then I bought a souvenir for my cousin who really wanted some Cuban coffee. And then we got a souvenir. I think it was Daniel, or I mean, I'm not sure what even the souvenir was now that I think about it, but we are not really souvenir people. We don't like to bring a lot of stuff back. If I do buy souvenirs, it's usually books or clothes, but because I knew that we were going to spend a bit of money on this trip, I didn't really buy anything, and I didn't really see anything. I'd prefer to spend all of our money on food than like on souvenirs. So in total, we spent about $47.62 for other items. So in total, this is kind of the breakdown. I was planning, this is kind of my budget of how much I had planned on spending, and we ended up spending $17.94.58 per person. I mean per person, for 2 people for 2.5 days, and that the 2.5 days doesn't really include like all the traveling. We spent like basically a full day of traveling, and you know, yeah. And so in total it's about $897.29 per person for a weekend trip to Miami and Fort Lauderdale. And that is like, I would say in the middle. So we didn't like do the biggest, flashiest things, but we also wanted to have some nice things as well. So it's kind of a mix in, I would say, in between. I do feel like that's pretty high for just a weekend trip. Now that I'm looking at it, it seems pretty pricey, but it was fun. And I think that that's just something to keep in mind. Miami and if you are gonna save money, Fort Lauderdale is slightly less expensive than Miami. There also isn't as much to do there, in my opinion, though. So we did try to do a lot of free things, and if you're interested about what exactly it looked like, what we were doing, I did make a video about things to do in Miami, so you guys can check that out. Okay, so that's what we spent for a trip to Miami and Fort Lauderdale for a weekend trip for 2 people. Let me know if you guys have any questions down below in the comments, and I'll see you guys next video. Bye!